What is going on, everybody? Today I have a tier list for you. Now I know the season has only been out for like a week or so, but we're going to speculate a little bit. And first thing I want to address is the power level in the game. I think it got a lot higher. Okay, so like previously when we saw a tier list, it might go like S plus. Actually, no, it was like S, A plus, A, B plus, and B. Like this is like kind of where we were at. And now I think we're like, we have S plus, we have S, we have A plus, we have A, and then we have just straight up B. Now, once again, this is going to be very speculative, but I'm pretty passionate about a couple things. And first thing I want to talk about, let's address the top. Who's at the top? I think it's very clear that there are two characters that stand above the rest as far as their matchup goes, as far as their conversions go, as far as their damage goes, just like ability to turn any hit into like a big chunk of damage and then kill you from there. Both these characters have win conditions off a single hit. Ramithal will hit you once, break the wall with the super, and then positive bonus you to death. And Happy Chaos will get you in a wall slump and mix you to death. Now, let's address some of the changes that each of these characters got. Ramithal pretty much is a little different in the corner, but for the most part, it's like fine for them. And their conversions got buffed for whatever reason. And as far as Happy Chaos goes, they can no longer zone meterlessly for like 40 seconds, but they were given the ability to do the same thing up close because now it actually goes lower. So you actually get meterless, like really, really long block strings. It's kind of similar to what Goldos does, but you get to pick where the Behemoth Typhoon is every time. And so it's like very variable. You can like leave big gaps or you can leave small gaps. You can kind of like manually pick timings, or if you don't want to think at all, you can just straight up do like these loops where it's like button, button, guard crush, button, button, guard crush, button, button, guard crush, and force your opponent to waste all their meter or, overextend and guess. The next echelon characters is probably where the majority of the cast is, and that's like S. Let's just start throwing characters there, and then we'll talk about it. I think Goldos is there. I think Nago is there. I think Zotto is there. I think Leo is there. I think... Where's Baiken? Baiken is there. I think Jacko is there. And... Is there anyone else? May is probably there. And Kai is probably there. This is crazy that like this is legit what tier list is looking like nowadays. I don't know if Soul is there. Soul's probably there, right? I think Soul's probably there. Geo? Is Geo there? Is Geo there? You tell me. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a lot easier time dealing with Geo in this patch. Not only because Goldos got buffed in ways that like helped me, but I feel like Geo is just kind of worse. They got kind of quote unquote like honest buffs. And I say that because like they lost 2D, but in return they get like a full screen 236K. But for the most part, they're doing kind of the same thing, right? So I'm not sure if they actually reach that like degenerate. Like I think when we look at S plus, this is like clearly OP degeneracy. This right here is like near OP degeneracy, what these characters do, which is kind of why I'm kind of thinking of putting Soul down one. Nah, I think I'll leave it like this. I'm thinking about putting Geo there, guys. You guys almost have me. Oh, God, even Testament. Oh, it's so difficult. Let's talk about the characters that I did put in there first, and then maybe we'll change your mind later. So let's start with Goldos. Goldos was a character that was... he was of the archetype of, like, really hard to get in, but once he does get in, he gets really high reward. In the same way that, like, a grappler might in a game. Really hard to get in. They get in. Cool, they get to play these mind games with you and do whatever. The difference is that Goldos' mind games have always been very, very good, right? They're very strong. Even if you guess right, you may not actually win the situation because those gaps are tight and you need to mash very preemptively. It's very, very tricky to block Goldos and then also like get out of Goldos pressure. Recently, I've seen the efficacy of people backdashing in the corner. That helps a lot. But in mid-screen, Goldos still does have sort of the issue of the FD backdash, beating a lot of follow-ups. Obviously, we have cars now how to deal with that, but there's a mind game in there where they can also mash, and then if you don't have meter, you don't get the biggest reward for if you catch the mashings. But all that being said, Gold Lewis no longer has the issue of having trouble getting in. They buffed his JD, which was already one of the best normals in the game, and they buffed his Far Slash, and they buffed his 2K, and they buffed his 6H, and they buffed his 5H, and the end result is just this character out RPSing you in neutral with JD or Far Slash. He doesn't even have to use 6A4, by the way. I have not been using as much 6A4 anymore. When you have a Far Slash, like, why do it? Why do it? It is way less recovery. And I forgot to mention drone too. All right, well, we'll talk about the normals first though. So Gold Lewis will RPS you with a normal, and he will get in and he will kill you. And if he guesses wrong, cool, you anti-aired him. Maybe you sent him away. Maybe you converted. That's depending on your character. Either way, like, he's willing to take that risk because he is high health, and he will kind of destroy you. I will not deny that Gold Lewis is very strong this patch, and that he is almost like, he's pretty scrubby. Also this patch, I feel like I'm just kind of like all-inning very often and winning because of it. And next, let's talk about Drone. Drone will play neutral for you. It'll do your taxes. I'm sure there's going to be counterplay. Moving forward, people are going to figure it out. Already, I'm seeing Happy Chaoses that are holding out Guard Crush, hitting me with the Guard Crush, and then rolling through it at a specific timing, which is obviously very good counterplay. Other characters are trying to like air throw you if they're fast enough, or jump over you if they're like Faust or Milia. But the end result is that Drone is something that every character is going to have to learn to play against and learn to respect. In conclusion, Gold Lewis is a crazy good character now. He has no weaknesses other than his defense and his inability to deal with DPs at close range. And when you try to deal with DPs at far range, you're susceptible to backdashes and jumps. But generally, those are his two weaknesses. Defense, if you get someone that can block very well in this character, it's going to be very scary, by the way. Yeah, defense and DPs. That's it. Next up, we have Nago. I think Nago is probably still better than Gold Lewis. Okay, so we'll do that. But Nago got buffed this patch. I won't say for certain, but from what I can tell, Nagos are being a lot more reckless with the blood because they can afford to, because it builds up slower. They have the Fukio cancels. Beyblade is -2 now, or maybe it's -3, but it is not really affecting them because you can really just commit to Beyblade and you have enough blood to threaten the frame trap afterwards. So yeah, that's a little scary. And Nago's normals got buffed as well. He went from having the best normals in the game all around to having the bestest normals in the game all around. That's kind of cool. They did nerf his 2H, which is, from what I can tell, I mean, it just should have happened. Obviously, it affected Gold Lewis a lot. I'm not sure how it's going to affect other characters, but 2H will no longer just hit people full screen on the ground if you're playing a big body. And I'm all for that. That's a good change, I think. In general, I think Nago is very strong. I personally find it very fun to play against him, but I'm playing a character with a lot of HP, and so I'm willing to guess a lot of the time because I know, hey, at the very least, like, I'll die in 2 touches. I'm never going to get TOD'd from Nago, you know? So I have some time to guess, but generally, I think Nago is going to continue to be one of these characters that everyone can play averagely, like on an average power level, but there will only be like few like really top tier Nago players. And we see that with people like Hotashi, people like One True Snorlax and Sunlight. And I know I'm forgetting people. Please, guys, there are a lot of Nago players. Okay. I'm not going to list them all. Okay. You guys know who I'm talking about. There are so many good Nago players. Okay. All right. Well, there's like 15 of them. Okay. And everyone else, you know, if you're losing to the other Nagos, that's on you. You gotta work on it. Next up, we have Zotto. Do I think Zotto is better than Gold Lewis? Honestly, the way I'm currently looking at it, bro, like Zotto and Gold Lewis might be like kind of on the same tier of what they do. I think it could go either way, where one is better than the other. Let's do... You know what? Just so people don't think I'm downplaying, bro, I'm going to put Gold Lewis over Zotto. Okay, I really do think it can go either way. Zotto obviously got buffed. Already an amazing character. Got some normal buffs and now drains Eddie meter faster. Tester, yeah, I mean, forget a story. There are lots of good Nago players. I promise you. I'm not going to name all of them, okay? All right, so when it comes to Zotto, they got normal buffs and they got the slower drain. I think their frog got slightly nerfed, but now that means they just don't have to use frog at all in pressure, is what I've seen recently. The character will still mix you to death. The character does like this level of conversions. I saw a clip. I was watching like some Latif gameplay and he converted like a JP into 50%, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, Zotto is similar to Gold Lewis in that they're both very strong when they get in. They both get rewarded for like on playstyles. Obviously, Zotto to a lesser degree because of the low HP and no reversal super, but they have way better Abari buttons, such as 2P. So in that sense, they have better defense. I think Zotto will do very, very well this patch. Very, very well this patch. Next up, we have Leo. They nerfed him in a couple ways. The character is still very good. Don't let people tell you otherwise. They messed with 5K and JD, but if you play against the best of them, you'll see that they're still using those normals very, very well. Both of which I believe have more recovery, by the way, so they're easier to whiff punish. But that being said, if you ever try to whiff punish a Leo, you're going to get DP'd and, you know. That takes me to the next point. Leo DP is still as broken as it's ever been. It's a very, very strong special move. It's kind of crazy to me that they didn't address that. I really thought that they would make, I guess DPs did get universally slower. But I really thought they would get rid of his back turn off of DP because it's just way too much reward. You're like forced to burst if you get DP'd by Leo. I think DPs are just too strong in the game in general, but you know, that's for a different video. Leo is still doing Leo things and he's doing them well. Yes, he did lose some roots. He's doing different things now, but he's still very, very strong. And I would actually, I still think Leo is probably up here still. Yeah, I think Leo is now in the same boat as Nago, where it's only going to be like the really, really good Leo players that are going to give you a hard time. Even though before I would say there were people that were like truly carried by Leo, and I'm sure they've recognized that a lot of things are harder. But yeah, now I think you're going to see the top level players. They're not going to struggle hard with Leo at all. Next up, we're talking about Baiken. Baiken, I think, is a character that got severely buffed this patch. They got disjoints on everything. All their normals got faster. They have a 4-frame attack button now, which is crazy because they're an RPS character that's like slightly minus in your face, giving them a faster button. Does make things a little more difficult. Their parry works the exact same way, but they did change the H-Kabari, which now is a different mind game. Instead of like 6 ping between the 2 hits, it's now a true frame trap. Meaning that if they try to frame trap you and you press anything, you will get rocked. But of course, they can also stagger by just doing the H-Kabari and then resetting in any which way. This character also still has, you know, like the best aerial game in the game, I guess, with JS, with Tatami Mat, with JH, with JD, with JP even. I mean, it's all good. The character just strictly got buffed. And because of it, they're kind of in... also their damage got buffed too. They're doing more damage nowadays as well. Oh, they also made doing the overhead easier. In general, I think this character is just like the new all-rounder. I think they are very easy to play. And they probably don't have too many bad matchups. It's probably... Honestly, I see Baiken as being the Giovanna of last season, where like everyone is going to have a... Baiken, everyone is going to have a Baiken secondary. And I see this character just being very, very strong and very, very annoying. And it's really hard to define what their weaknesses are. But, yeah, I don't see a world where this character is not at least in this like second group of big characters. I probably... Do I think they're better than Gold Lewis? Gold Lewis is like my my benchmark for high tier now. They're definitely easier than Gold Lewis. You know, I'm gonna put him up here just because I think you can learn Baiken in an afternoon. And I think they're comparable in power level, and Baiken is just much, much easier and doesn't need the execution barriers. You know what I mean? Baiken just kind of doing Baiken things. Next up, we have Jacko, who got buffs all around the board. Particularly the biggest change is their ability to throw minions from the get-go. They start with full meter. This proves to be very, very problematic for the game because Jacko will just get going immediately. This character is very strong. Definitely got buffed the most throughout the entire patch, along with Gold Lewis. Probably more, though, because Jacko is probably worse than Gold Lewis pre-patch. And there's a good chance. Honestly, the way I look at them now, like they're kind of similar to Baiken. Jacko will always have the problem, though, of being a worse Happy Chaos. Jacko and Happy Chaos, although people don't, they don't believe me when I say this, they are two sides of the same coin. They're very similar characters. And now it's way more apparent than it was last season because Happy Chaos is doing the exact same thing Jacko is doing in the corner, except without having to set up minions and with better mix-ups. So Jacko, yeah, just very, very strong character. Crazy neutral, crazy pressure game, good mix, okay defense. Well, no, I'll say good defense. It's good defense. Their super is questionable, but yeah, this character is very good. Next up, we have Mei. Mei, I think, is probably in this lower echelon. I'm probably going to keep her where she is. She did get nerfed damage a little bit, but she got some extra tools, and they changed the scaling on RC, and so she's doing, from what I can tell, about the same damage. I mean, obviously, Mei players will know better than I, but she's still doing good damage, and now she has access to probably, like, one of the most annoying normals in the game, 5k. Like, 5k 6H is just crazy, 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 crazy strong. It's pretty much a Behemoth Typhoon that she gets to do from, like, full screen away from you, and play a mind game with you on whether or not she's going to frame trap or hold it, and then stay plus. It's very scary. It's all completely variably timed, so if you ever try to play a mind game with, like, delayed mashes, they can play that game right with you and then kill you off with 6H. That's pretty much like the biggest change I've seen with Mei. I mean, I can't really go much into it, but yeah, I still think this character is very, very good. Obviously, recognize that the entire cast is like very, very strong right now. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how it is. Next, let's talk about Kai. Kai is a character that also got some buffs, particularly with DI that I've only seen once throughout this entire season. That's like the biggest change that I remember. They also, he can now zone just infinitely. He can just throw out fireball, fireball, fireball. I believe you just have to wait for the fireball to go off the screen, or maybe it's like a strict time. But yeah, obviously his zoning is better now. And I did say that, Vertsy. I did say that. But yeah, Kai's just a very strong overall character, and he has some degenerate stuff in his 6P that is among the best in the game. Just very, very strong normal. He's still a stun dipper. And ultimately, I think what makes Kai worse than the other characters is that ultimately his game comes down to strike throw. Obviously, he does have that very, very strong neutral game and counter poke game, but he doesn't have like a really degenerate offensive structure, which I think keeps him away. You know, actually, I just talked myself into putting him into A+. I think, unironically, yeah, I'm not going to say it that way, but I will say that I think his offensive structure is not degenerate enough to be up here with these guys, because these guys all have really, really gross offense. And we'll talk about Soul next. Soul has more damage for less inputs. Less is more, as they say. Soul is also a character that I talked myself out of it. Soul is also a character that I feel kind of got power creeped. I kind of feel like Soul got power. Oh, dude, is Soul worse than Kai now? Soul feels like he got a little bit power creep, bro. He can't do 5k success anymore, which affects some of his roots, affects some of his pressure. But for the most part, he's still doing the same things with different routes. The question is Old Soul enough to hang with the rest of everybody? It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. The one big buff that he got is that 2K2D now works a little better. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to put him here. I think Kai is better than Soul, but they're probably around-ish the same area, you know? Yeah, no, I'm going to leave it like this. This makes more sense to me, for sure. All right, now let's start to put the worst characters into play. I think in A+, Geo, maybe Geo should be up there. Geo is either like here, 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 or here. You know, I'm not going to be that guy that downplays Giovanna, okay? I'm not going to be the guy that downplays Giovanna. I'm so sorry, guys. You were right all along. Giovanna is still doing Giovanna things. The reason I don't think that highly over, though, is that she did get slight nerfs in her dash. She did get some good special buffs. But ultimately, I think you should just be playing Baiken. That is my honest opinion. That is my honest opinion. You should just be playing Baiken, who has strike throw exactly like Giovanna. Well, not exactly. Obviously, Giovanna is a little spicier. But Baiken just has better mix. All right, now we're going to go down here. Okay, we're looking more base now. By the second. Oh my, I'm looking at Testament and I'm like, well, I think everyone else is probably down here, but like Testament, I'm like, It's hard to say where Testament goes, dude. It's so hard to say where Testament goes. You know what? I'm going to put Testament S. And I do want to say that they have more of a place in the game than Giovanna right now. The problem with Testament, I feel like, is they're kind of like an in-between of Ramithal and something else. You can definitely feel like Ramithal vibes when you play them. They're just not as strong as Ramithal. The matchups that they win, though, they're going to destroy in, particularly against Goldless. You know, going to downplay my character some more. But yeah, Testament's a very good character. They got buffed. Literally, actually, you know what? Testament might have gotten more buffs than Jacko actually is, going from like the highest position change. Yeah, Testament's just very strong and honestly kind of annoying and does way too much damage. I'm kind of feeling the same way with Testament though. The way that I feel about Baiken and Geo. Like, why play Testament when you can play Ram? Why play Geo when you can play Baiken? That being said, Testament also has a really gross 6P. Please nerf every 6P in the game to Gold Lewis's level. Please. Gold Lewis is the only one that has like a realistic 6P. Like, you can make him a little faster, but it is ridiculous, bro, that we have 6Ps out here that are coming out in like 10 frames with like 5 frames of recovery. It makes no sense. I made up those numbers. I don't know what they exactly are. All I know is Testament 6P is not okay. Yeah, but Testament just has amazing normals now. If you guys didn't know, they buff the normals, they buff the specials. And the character really just does function now. It's just really hard to pick them over Ramithal. If you want to play a character like Ramithal that has more style and is probably way more fun, just pick Testament. All right, now I think I'm good talking about the rest of the cast. So let's start throwing these characters down here. Eno is probably here. I think Chip is probably here. Milia. Oh man, I don't know much about Milia. I'm gonna be honest, guys. My Milia is a wild card pick. I'm just gonna be completely honest. These are bottom 3 in the game for me. Probably Pop bottom 1, followed by Angie, followed by Axel, and then Faust probably goes here. Here. All right, let's start talking about this, and then maybe we move things around. All right, so let's start with Eno. Actually, no. You guys ready for this? This is sad, but they're not even A tier, bro. They're not even A tier. They're just B, bro. Oh, that is tough. That is tough. Oh man. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Ino. So, Ino did get a slight nerf, I think. They got buffs in some ways, and yeah, but I think overall it's going to be a slight nerf. But ultimately, I think Ino just got power crept really hard. So although H-Stroke being gone is very bad for them, very, very bad for them, there's less mind games you have to play. But they're still a very strong character, and then they changed the note. Note is faster in the air, and they changed something else, but I can't think of it right now. But the character is fine. They just got hard power crept by like these, characters that all got buffed. I think it's pretty hard to justify playing Ino in this patch if you want to like play for victory, Although it's hard to play anyone besides these two if you're trying to play for a win, It's hard to justify not just picking one of these two. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about Ino. They got power crept more than anybody in the cast, I think, because they're like around the same level. And they went from like, usually they'd be up here, now they're like down here. That's just kind of how it goes. They didn't really change in strength that much, but everyone else around them did. Next up, we have Faust, who got a lot of buffs. Unfortunately, I think they have the same problem as Kai in that as good as you make them, their offensive structure is just not degenerate enough to stick around with this cast. In a game where people are knocking you down once and then pressuring you to death, Faust has to keep that person out, which is the harder job, right? It's also why I think so low of Axel, because their pressure sucks and their entire job is keeping people out. And if I'm playing Gold Lewis and I'm fine playing against Axel, I can only imagine how good how well the rest of the cast is playing against Axel. But yeah, Faust, I think, did get a lot better. Didn't get power crept because went from like he definitely got better. It's just everyone else got more better. Yeah, I think Faust is just not eating in this game until they give him like something really gross in his pressure, or they need to make his neutral just unbearably unfun. There's one or the other. If you want him to be a top tier, I mean, that's what he's going to need. Cherry, I don't know. I think Faust offense. I don't know. I would have to see a Cherio. I mean, from my experience, I've played against good Faust. I've played against Juxtaposer. I've played against CPU. I haven't played against Apology Man ever. Maybe that would change my mind. But yeah, I mean, I'm generally never impressed with the offense that Faust is able to go for. And all it takes is getting in once to kill this character. Their defense still sucks and they die quickly. Needs more items. I don't think Faust needs more items. I think it'd be funny and cool if they got more items, but I don't think they need them. I think they need to be buffed if you want them to make them better. You don't have to make them better. I think they're fine where they are. A+, guys, I think these characters are fine where they are. Personally, I don't want to see Chip or Ino ever buffed, period. Please never. But, yeah. We already talked about Soul. Oh, never mind, Chip. Okay. So Chip is kind of in the same situation as Faust when it comes to HP, in that, wait, let me reframe this. This game right now is very random, it feels like. Everyone is just hard guessing a neutral. Recovery is so low that like people are not like trying to play around things. Well, okay, people are trying to play around things, but they have to do it in like a guessy kind of way, not in like a reaction kind of way. And all it takes is to guess correctly against Chip once to get in. And most characters are fine doing that. Obviously, I'm playing Gold Lewis, and I have a really, really hard time with Chip because that character just counters Gold Lewis straight up. The only way to win is to block a DP and then full punish them for the entire life, or somehow win the neutral, throwing out random buttons. But that's the main problem with Chip, though, I think. If you do just randomly throw out stuff, you probably get a hit on the dude. I mean, most of the time he's going to be running at you. And if you're throwing out low recovery buttons, he's not going to be able to whiff punish you. Not even Chip. But yeah, I think low HP is just not the wave with the current meta of the game. I think everyone's damage is way too high. Everyone's neutral is way too good. I think the biggest problem, like this game, they put all the options they should have put on defense into offense, and now we're playing Strive. Yeah, I think Chip is just a victim of the power level of the game right now, and what's strong. And what's strong? You know, big damage. Big damage is very strong. Look at all the characters up here. They can all do incredible damage off their good hits. And Soul can do this too. I think just Soul does not have the pressure he once did. Next up, we're talking about Millia. Millia, I'm going to be honest, guys, I have no clue. I have to imagine that Millia is doing better than these three at the bottom. Because I know they did just get strictly buffed. Obviously, they're going to have the same problems as Chip. But on top of that, they don't have a DP. I'm just going to go move past Millia. I truly, like, I don't play against enough Millias. I don't know enough about Millia. That's my one skip. I get one skip. That's it. Okay. Next up, notice how we went from A+ to B. I think there is a big gap between these three characters. I think these three characters need help. It's kind of insane to me that Angie has been buffed every patch so far and then still just like cannot function in this game. Mostly because his offensive structure sucks unless you're like using Butterfly. That's good. His damage is good. Most of the time, he does get some stray hits where he doesn't get damage. He's like overall a pretty solid character. He's playable. Not in competition against the best of the best, but you know, if you one thing I want to say, if you guys are just playing Celestial, tier lists don't matter. Okay, go play who you want. Everyone is good in that sense. But when we're talking about like the highest level of play, man, it's tough if you're an Angie player. I feel like this character, I don't know if it's because I'm just not playing against the best Angies, but I'm reacting to the overhead very consistently. I'm talking like 90% efficacy. Even though they made it faster. And I believe it's 21 frames, so it is technically reactable. But I'm just seeing it. I really am. I feel like a better Angie will condition me to respect the offense more. But I think even in the best case scenario, like in the best case scenario of putting all your time into learning Angie offense, it's still just worse than Goldlois is. It's still just worse than Baiken's. It's still just worse than Nagos and Leos and Eddies and Mays and Testaments and Geos. And I think that's his problem. Next up, we'll talk about Axel. I kind of talked about his problems a little bit earlier. In a game where everyone's trying to random their way in and then kill you, Axel, you know, has to win. Axel just has to be the better player for like every matchup, I think. This character just didn't get as many buffs as the rest of them. Their pressure, I believe, got a little bit better. Their damage in the corner got a little bit better, I think. Their neutral is about the same, maybe a little bit better. But you can't be a little bit better in a game of these monsters. Yeah, but I can give my experience as Goldlois as just like how I'm feeling about Angie, or how I'm feeling about Axel. I'll just like dash block my way in. I'll get to a certain spacing, and I'll make the Axel guess. They're guessing 50-50s in neutral, and if I get in, they better have burst, or they better have meter, or they've lost the round. And what I'm saying with Goldlois is not just a Goldlois thing anymore. Like, this is like pretty much the way everyone plays against Axel. You force them into a position where they have to guess between two tools, and then you knock them down. And then, you know, it's the meme where it cuts the victory screen. You guys know what I'm talking about. And finally, let's talk about bottom one in the game. Potemkin, still struggling in neutral, in the way that Goldlois was before. Obviously, Goldlois does have some good anti-zoning with Slidehead. Aerial games, like, particularly just got better in this patch. So that's a little bit of a thing. I think it's time to talk about like what really got changed about Potemkin. And that is the shield. The shield is... Potemkin has become a character that's entire win condition is based on getting a meter and throwing out shield. You can throw it in neutral, you can follow it up, and you can get a block, you can get a turn, you can throw it out off any button and be plus, and then take a turn. You can convert any hit with the shield into a big combo, and that's all cool and fun. I just don't think it's that strong, because in the end, if you're relying on, you know, like a 5D to open people up, if that's the best mix you got, even if it's high reward, there are players out there that will block that, you know? Not even guess. It feels like a 5D, a non-held 5D is like slow enough to react to offline for sure. And I think the character is just, they're good. The same way everyone is playable. Their win condition is just not as strong as the others. Like Gold Lewis is doing what Potemkin does with shield off of any normal. Because you do normal Behemoth Typhoon and you're plus enough to like make him guess. Yes, there's mind games. It's not like absolute knockdown, but the reward is so much higher. And the resets are so much higher for someone like Gold Lewis. And yeah, Potemkin just not in the greatest positions right now. And there's one thing that I still haven't addressed, and that is Ramithal versus Happy Chaos. Which of these are the better character? And I don't know if I have the information to answer this question yet. For now, Ramithal is probably the better character. Long term, Happy Chaos is probably the better character because this character is changing on a daily level. Ram wins versus Happy Chaos. Yeah, Ram does win the matchup against Happy Chaos. This is true. Well, okay, I shouldn't say this is true. Who knows what kind of counterplay we'll find. It is looking like Ramithal will have a winning matchup against Happy Chaos. In which case, like, it's probably just enough to call them the best character in the game. God, you guys are actually talking me into, like, putting Ramithal on a tier up. That actually... I'm going to keep it like this. Yeah. Okay. We'll have Ramithal as number 1 because Ramithal does beat Happy Chaos. What I was going to say, though, is that Happy Chaos is a character that is evolving by the day. People were playing this character in a very, very one-note fashion before, where it was just do optimal zoning. They get close enough and you're running into concentration. Normal. Okay, back to optimal zoning. You got meter. Okay, concentrate. Back to optimal zoning. And that's what you did with the character. Now that playstyle is not as effective, people are now actually experimenting with the offense, and Happy Chaos's offense is the most suppressive in the game. Earlier, I was comparing it to Behemoth Typhoon, but you can do it on command. It is exactly that. It is truly exactly that. It is very, very oppressive offense, which, you know what? I'm all down for. This is still 1,000 times better than it was last season. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Overall, I think the power level in this patch is too high. I think we're doing way too much damage. I think the neutral is a little janky, a little random. We need more recovery. Ultimately, if I was going to like change this game somehow, which you know, we'll see another patch June 10th, 2023. But if I was going to change this game, I would nerf damage. I would nerf 6Ps to the ground. I would better defense options. I would give everyone like a good 2P in this game. That's how I would change defense. I would give everyone like Zotto 2P. Everyone in the game. If you guess right with a mash, bro, you deserve it. In this game, you deserve it. For real, for real. But yeah, I would buff everyone's 2Ps. I would nerf everybody's 6Ps. Or like just equalize them, I guess. I would nerf the damage. And I would increase recovery on like a lot of the moves that we're seeing like a ton of in neutral. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, maybe even drop a sub. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.